Parthenon Huxley, yeah. Alright, so this of course is the famous series of guitar solos by the Beatles at the end of Abbey Road. Just a fantastic piece of music with all three of them soloing. John, of course, having the most hilarious guitar solos. Paul, the kind of weirdest. And George showing the influence that he had from his neighbor Eric Clapton by this late period of the Beatles, where he's playing very Clapton-esque sort of riffs. So we'll go through these one by one. This might be a long video, but stick with me. So the first one is McCartney. As a left-handed guitar player, he's a little bit odd to us righties, but it's all good. And here is the first move. The riff is an A. It's just A to D, so it's a really easy thing to play over. And all of them kind of stay within bounds. Nobody's going too crazy out of the key. So Paul is taking his ring finger and we're sliding from, well, again, I wasn't at the session, taking his ring finger from 3 to 5 on the B string and then laying it down and doing an upstroke on the E and B string. So it's kind of a Chuck Berry thing, you know. So, and then he starts playing individual notes. So the first three are the E, 5th fret B, 5th fret A, 3rd fret E. So, did I say 5th fret A? 5th fret B, 5th fret E, 3rd fret E. And then there's one stroke where you get a whole series of notes. You're going to hit 5th fret B and slide it down and pass it off to your index finger. So it's and then land on A there, staying in the key. So and then a hammer on from 1 to 3 on the B string, and then a pull off 2 to open on G. So now you can play George's riff all here between 5 and 8 if you wanted to. But on the record, this first part, it's kind of meatier, and I think it sounds better on these thicker strings than on the thin E. So I'm going to split the riff between up here and between 5 and 8. So we're at, I'm going 12-10, 12-10, G to B, G to B, and then bending 13B. And all those same notes, doing a hammer on and a pull off from 10 to 13, landing on 12G, and then racing down here. And you're basically going to hit this A note 3 times at the 5th fret E, and you're going to come down to 8B, and then 5th fret E to 5B, 5th fret E to 7G. So, and then just finish it off with a 5th fret G to 7th fret D. So it's not, you don't have to race too quickly. I mean, you have time to do it. Or else, again, you could do it like this. then John's riff is ridiculous. He's just kind of attacking. It's like, this is basically just barring the 12th fret, and it's kind of down up, down up, down up, down up, with some pull-offs in there that sound pretty random to me, like he's just kind of going for it and seeing what happens. John was not noted as the lead guitarist that Paul and George were. So, and then he takes that bar down to the 5th fret, covering D, G, and B. So, and then we're back to Paul starting things off. This is riff number 4. There are 9 of these, so stick with me. Just absolutely love this one. It's basically he's playing an A minor chord. A minor 7. No, add 3. Never mind. Yeah. So your hand is spread from 5 to 8. You're going to grab these first series of upstrokes with your pinky. And then just bar D, G, and B. And arpeggiate. One by one, down and then back. I mean, up and then down. And then do a Chuck Berry, where you're bending. You can do that with your ring or your middle. I habitually use my middle. I'm not proud of it, but so you're bending 7, G, and then grabbing these two at the 5th fret, B and E. So there's Chuck Berry, and then Paul grabs 8, B, 5, E, and then does a slide from 8 to 10 on E. So really nice. And then this is George's next one, and this is pretty rock and roll here, pretty bluesy. It's just the A, and then that just classic kind of blues move to the minor 3rd. 3 times, I think. And then he's grabbing G and B with his index, and then G and B at 7 with his ring, and where you're going to hit it unbent, bend it, and come back to unbent. So hammer on, pull off, 5 to 7 on G. And then grabbing 8, B, and bending it. And then John has this has this great random. It's so random. So he's kind of attacking. I don't even know how to describe this one. So we're open E, fretting G with probably our middle finger. Open E, open A, fretting 3A, and then bending this up to the bending that C note toward the D note, which you pick up on the open D. And then he goes C, D, C. He pulls off the E, the D string 2nd fret, and then hits the open D again. And then C, D, A. It's truly weird. And then right on that last note, George overlaps. No, it's Paul. So again, we're kind of using, kind of rocking out an A. It's not super complicated. And then we're going to take, but the rhythm is so cool. We're going to take the 5th fret D and 5th fret G and go. Now I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, because it's the most efficient way to do it. And then against all my better thinking, I'm going to use my index for this whole thing. Just because I don't want to do any kind of trade-off here, because it... Well, I could do that, I guess. You could pull off from ring to index. And it's just 7, 5, 3, open. So you do pull off, slide, pull off, and hit it again, okay? And then George, in probably the most elegant riff of the whole shebang. That's really Clapton-esque, you know? I mean, George didn't used to play like that at the beginning of the Beatles. He was definitely more of a Carl Perkins guy, you know? But by this time, I think he's been hanging out with his neighbor Eric, and it really shows. So we're going to start at E and do a hammer-on up to 12. Well, E. It's the 9th fret G. We're going to hammer on up to 12 G. And then we're going to slide from 12 to 14. And then I'm going to pick this next note up, C, at 13B with my index. And then because the frets are closer together, I'm going to use my middle finger, not my ring, to bend 15E, which is a G note, up to an A, bending a G up to an A. So it's... And I think he bends it back down. And then it's a hammer on and pull off from 13 to 15 and back to 13, and a short note at the end. And then John wraps it up in classic Lennon fashion, again by just attacking, kind of throwing his fingers at the guitar. And then they cut him off. I think they edited the tape and just ended it for him. So we're kind of doing, we're kind of grabbing the A and the D string here, I think. I think it's almost like short strumming. We're not going, we're not hitting clean notes. We're just kind of doing a little short strum, so we're picking up 2 or 3 strings at a time. And this is like he's bending 7, D, G, and B toward the floor. And occasionally you hear him pull off. It's almost like his fingers fall off rather than it's on purpose. But it's being, whatever pull-offs he does are getting picked up by the index across the 5th fret. So, and it's a series of triplets. Da 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 bum 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 bum. So it's 4 sets of triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it ends. There you go. Parthenon Huxley, yeah.